This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, some basics of lightning design system, and we'll see some a simple example on grid class in the lightning design system. So this most frequently used uh, a CSS class. Okay, so what do you mean by lightning design system? Have we gone through it? Have we gone through it? What is lightning design system? Anybody? Okay, right. It's a predefined CSS class. So what are the elements? What are the things we have? Can find it in lightning design system. It includes resources to create user interfaces to appear as Salesforce lightning experience, lightning experience, and principles, everything, which means it's not just appearance. With help of lightning design system elements, resources, it's not just to create a interface uh, with lightning experience, look and feel, but also the other concepts. The components are no will bring more than what just look and feel. So in general, then what are the elements that lightning design system will have? It has CSS. It consists of cross browser compatible CSS, which means it would be able to appear uh, render properly with respect to the browser type, right? So when you hard code the CSS property for your interface, it would work for one browser and it appear as a different behavior for it would reflect different behavior for different browser. So cross browser compatible CSS in the lightning design system, and we have different types of markup. Markup in the sense it's a short form of, you can say it's a class, CSS class, a short form of CSS class, which will inherit lot of properties. So instead you line 10 lines of code CSS, you just refer a different markup here with a different with the naming convention. I will talk about the discuss about the give the naming convention, how you can refer the CSS class from the Lightning design system. And in addition to that, you will see you can find the icons, and you can find the font related and other design guidelines. Okay, so it's a detailed source, detailed source to provide add more look and feel and other properties like icons, font, everything for your application or component. That's your Lightning design system. Okay. And so instead we concentrate more towards the CSS parameters, properties, and doing developers' job is to write the application, right? Write the business logic, not just to work on the look and feel. So it with help of these we reduce our dependency on CSS, so that right. So even you can bring more look and feel for your application when you write your own CSS. So we can bring very stunning look and feel with the help of Lightning design system. We just concentrate, on our business logic. So what is the naming convention the Lightning design system follow? The standard naming convention. It's not just for Lightning design system. It's like how the Bootstrap. If you know about the Bootstrap is also a kind of library which has a jQuery. jQuery in the sense, it's a library of, it's a function of function written in JavaScript, a predefined function of JavaScript, library of JavaScript, you can say. So jQuery, JavaScript, so all together you'll find a library called Bootstrap. You have to include that library at the top. Even before Lightning, when they introduced, we have to include a library, JS library at the in your Visual Force page, right, or in the Lightning application, so that you can utilize these elements, right, similar to Bootstrap. Okay, so in Bootstrap we have a naming convention, right? The similar naming convention we also going to follow in our Lightning design system. So the standard class naming convention. So we call the naming convention as block element modifier. It's also called BIM. Okay, so this is how we are going to refer the LDS properties, right? So every LDS properties always start from SLDS. Okay, SLDS. Suppose, let me take to the Lightning design system. Okay, guidelines or markup. Not here. Think here. Okay, if you see here, this a picture of an house, and this is an outer block, and inner which we have a components, and these are all descendant components, right? So when you refer the outer element, when you refer the main component, right, then you will see the main component class name will start from start as house. If any elements of your house you are referring, which means from the class how you are referring the variables, then you will use double underscore. We'll use double underscore. Got me? And if any larger elements of the components, like the door and window, we can consider as a small element. So consider as the element. So the outer element, if it is named as house, then the inner elements you will the small elements you will refer it as double underscore, and door double underscore window. If you are referring the main elements, I mean the larger elements of the main elements, like your stairs as the given here, right? Stairs, then you will see I mean the stairs and the step, again the additional the add-on property, the properties belongs to that particular element, the larger element. Then you will see hyphen, you'll use double underscore stairs hyphen. Got me? Able to follow this? And if you see the modifier, so we have seen a block, element, and what is modifier? So modifier which will tell you the CSS properties directly. Like suppose I like to refer the color for that particular element. So I have house and a door. We know the naming convention is start from main element, class name, double underscore, the sub element. Then you will see again you will have underscore and the properties, CSS properties. The modifier which always which brings some a look and feel, like it's a component or element variation. You can say it's a variation, right? So this property, if you change this property on that particular element, you will do the variation. Like when you use pink and you look pink color, when you use gray, you look gray color. Okay, so if you see there is a property called I think box, right? I go to the box. And this is a CSS class which will bring a box, a thin line around the content. So this is a code, right? So we have a class name. So as I said, every SLDS property you are going to refer, always start with SLDS, right? And hyphen box. So box is the main element, right? As we discussed, the house is the main component. So box is the main component. So within which you are going to have different other properties. So they've given an example here. If you see the small, right? So small is an element of the box. Is an element of the box. If you come down, so small, and you'll see the X says it is an extra small. Like when you go with more than a still smaller box, if you like to put around your content, then you'll see XX will come here, right? Because it's considered as a element of, right, element of this main element, and then an additional properties of the element. If you have variation, then you'll have underscore again, isn't it? So that's how we have seen in the follow this. Right? If you have a modifier which will bring the variation, then you'll have underscore here. But if you need to refer any properties related to the element, for example, the star, it's a larger element of the main component. and within which I have additional properties, then you'll go with hyphen. Avoid using a class name like this type. Instead, you have to use like this. Okay. So in the example what you've seen here box, so we have a small and x takes the prefix and double x and hyphen small. So anyway, we would have find the reference here, but when you are familiar with this naming convention, you will see, so if you have xx, the x, then you have xx. So that how you are able to work with the class name. If you are familiar with the naming convention, you're able to work with the class name instead of every time you refer here, you're able to relate the things. And when you are familiar with the class names, you will be able to incorporate the changes with better clarity, isn't it? So you should know the naming convention, how the naming convention is followed. So if you see here, the class name without a class name, main class name, you cannot use directly like this. You have to include a class name first. Then with the space separated, you can include the additional class names. Able to follow this, all of you? Do you want me to repeat? You want me to repeat? So what is the naming convention we follow in a Lightning design system? Block, element, modifier naming convention. Block, element, modifier naming convention. So what it is actually? It is a library which is used to bring a look and feel across all Salesforce application. Okay, so instead of you write your own CSS, you can refer the whatever the design guidelines and everything from Lightning design system and use it. Okay, and the naming convention what we follow in Lightning design system is a common naming convention, standard naming convention, a well-known naming convention called block element modifier. Right. So when you refer the main class elements, you go with the name, and if you're going to refer the house, right, then now we are going to refer the house SLDS hyphen house, isn't it? So this must be included. Suppose I'm going to include this in a division, then I would say like this. Sorry, class name, isn't it? And if you're going to apply the properties of the main element, then you will say, suppose I like to apply the door, then double underscore door. Okay, so you will follow this. Able to follow this. If you're going to add the variation, suppose the color of the door, then you'll see underscore gray. Okay, if I have another block where the door color is different, then I would say like this. That's how you'll able to follow this, all of you. Okay, and I have some idea about this. What I'm trying to explain here. Single underscore hyphen ranges for the pink or gray. No, single underscore. The double underscore will appear in uh, the immediate element of your main element, isn't it? The immediate element of your main element will have double underscore. Okay, the rest will have a single underscore, and variations will have a hyphen. Got me? The variations will have hyphen. Able to follow this? Able to follow this? If you see here, there is a you can take any different properties. I go to an important, most frequently used property is called grid. The design part of your Lightning LDS Salesforce grid. Grid is most frequently used. So which will use to bring a grid like this. Okay, and right. So grid is nothing but which is used to divide the page into rows and columns, which is used to divide the page into rows, and you can have columns also. And you can define the size of the grid, and you can define the padding between the two grids. Got me? And it depends upon the content, the grid will take the size. So flexible, responsive grid element you can bring. The grid is very commonly used design in web applications, and LDS also provides more user-friendly grid classes. Right? Able to follow this? Shall I proceed? All of you? Shall I proceed? Able to follow this? Okay. If you do not have any design that which is something different from the standard grid system, then you can better go with grid. That's what they given. Grid will bring a standard, that we'd have some design over the content. So the content here is 1, 2, 3, isn't it? So around the content, I made a grid. So grid is applied. You'll see, you will not see this gray color. They're just given for a reference here. But internally, the content will have separated by grid. You remember the panel grid in your Visualforce page? The panel grid? No, I'm not going to give an example for you, Karthik. I'm going to explain the example. I'm just explaining the theoretical part now. Okay, so you will see here how they bring this grid. This is a main class. So always all the LDS element always prefixed with SLDS. So there is no change in that. Every design utilities, whatever you are going to refer in your Lightning application or component, that's going to have a prefix with SLDS. So SLDS hyphen. So we are going to work on this grid system. Okay, we are going to work on this grid system. So, and hyphen SLDS glitters. So glitters is again another properties which says the content will take its own space. I mean, content will take the space according to the size of the content. Okay, so let's quickly see this example. Able to follow this, right? Then if you have a and this again additional subclasses which is used to bring, refer how many columns you want, right? So we know this is a grid, and within the grid system, how many columns you would like to have? I said a grid is nothing but divide your page into rows and columns. So how many columns you want? I want 4 columns. You see here, there are 4 columns I want, isn't it? So then gutters, not glitters. I'm sorry. Gutters will add the with the help of these, you will see with respect to the size of the content. Now you'll see the grid will take this space. So let's take the example now. Right, and so I'm going to add a column. So when I'm going to add a column, then I would say SLDS hyphen col. SLDS hyphen col. So add as many call element as you want inside of a grid container. So this will bring the container. This will bring the container. Okay. And within the container, I'm going to add the column. So I say 1, for example, and the second column I say and the third I say 3. Like this. Right. What is the important thing here? If you're going to include this in your application, then you should have the extends equal to post SLDS. So earlier we had to include the library, but here now we just include the library like with the extend attribute. Okay, and you don't see here, you know, the borders, how the grids are separated. You don't see here how the columns are separated because this grid system doesn't have that property. The grid system doesn't have that property to to draw a border between the grid. But this is how it is separated. Okay, if you need to see the borders, then I would apply. I see there is any, I would say box. 1 minute. Okay, there is a right main class element is box. Around the content, I can apply the box. So content here is my, the content here is nothing but my column, right? So this is my content. So what I say here is apply the box here. For every column, I'm going to apply the box. So additional classes you can also implement like this. Okay. Yeah. If you see here, this is become bigger than the other, right? It's a default size. It's a default size because we given only 4 column, and you'll see the second and the fourth has more space compared to this content, right? So this is your gutters, the gutter property. The gutter property will adjust the grid column with respect to the content, how much content that we have in the column. So it's adjusted automatically. Okay, and come down here. I think without gutter, it will adjust. The gutter will bring the some space between the grid, I believe. Yeah, 1 minute. Without gutter itself, do you think any difference? No. So by default, the contents. Right. Why you are using gutter? I believe gutter is to bring some space, some padding. Okay. It requires different example. If you see what is gutter, the gutter will bring the spacing between the content tracks. Yeah, some spacing. Okay. It's a kind of gap property, right? So we leave it for gutters as of now. Just go with the grid system. And other more important, frequently used grid property. Yeah. How we are going to specify the size of the columns manually using the helper classes. So we have helper classes. Yeah. Okay. See, if you see here, they have 4 columns. Then each of the columns takes the the content are same, right? Content size just 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it has been equally divided. The row is equally divided. Okay, and maximum you have, it can support only 12. The 12 columns you can support. Maximum 12 columns is it will support it. So equally it will be spaced. Suppose you like to set your column width. I like to set my column width. For the first column, suppose I would like to display the details of an account, and I just like to display the uh, some just one particular field. Here I would like to display a more content and just one particular field. So like I would like to divide the row as 70% space for the column 1 and 30% space for column 2. Okay, if you don't specify any column width, then what happens? It's equally divided, right? How we are going to specify the column width with the help of helper classes? Okay, then we'll go for gutters, right? Then you go for gutters. So now earlier we had a gutters here, right? That will not have any effect. Without gutters, the columns are arranged, sized related to the content. But now if you see, I'm going to use a gutter now. So gutter is just to add a space only. Okay. Still, I think you need not use gutter. But gutter, if you add, uh, it's basically used to add some space around the content. Right. I don't use gutter now. Now I'm going to size my column. Okay. So let's take the column 1 takes 70%. The column 2, I'm going to have only 30% of the space. Okay. Then how we are going to do this? If you see this, the two, right, the 66% of your grid, I'm going to cover this. So it's nothing but if you divide this row into 3 parts, then 2 of 3, right, the 2/3 of this screen, the 2/3 of the screen, I'm going to occupy for the column 1. Then I would say SLDS size. Size is an element of SLDS, and okay, and this we are working on the variation, right? And variation, and then the other properties of the variation. The 4 of 6. The 4 of 6 means what? The 4 of 6 means what? The fourth sixth of the screen. It means no the fourth portion, right? The portion of your 6, a column, I'm going to occupy for this column. Okay, right. So I just put it here. Let it the box property applied, and here it say 2 of 3. I'm going to apply for this column 1. And what is how many is left over now? How much is left over now? How much is left over now? The 2 of third portion is occupied for column 1. Then how much is left over now? 1, isn't it? So 1 of 3. That's it. Then you will see this will occupy the. Okay. Now, isn't it? Able to follow this? Are you clear, guys? Are you able to follow this? So can we apply some color variations here? I think we also have some variations here. Base. Okay, the color will apply it. Right. So now, if you have additional columns now, yeah, we'll work on different one, another division. So here I would like to divide in different format. Let me go to the paintbrush and explain. So this is the main container. Okay, this is my main container, and I say this much for the column 1, and then I would say I would like to this much for column 1, and this should be equally divided. This should be equally divided. Can anyone tell me how can I do this? How can I apply my grid here? So, right. So this is right. This has, say, for example, it has 60%. You can say 60% for the column 1, and the rest 20% for column 2, and again equal 20% for column 3. So how can I have this in this case? So what I can have here? Any idea? Anyone? 822? 82235. Okay. Right. So, okay. So I just go like this. You see here. 4 of 6. 4 of 6 is for the first column. Then you tell me Then tell me like what is for your column 2 and 3. If I say 4 of 6, 1 of 5, 1 of 6, right? 1 of 6. The leftover is 2 portion, right? Yeah. So 1 of 6. So let's go here. I do not want to disturb this. Okay, we'll have it. 4 of 6 and then 1 of 6. Three. Again 1 of 6. Isn't it? This one and like this. Right? So this is no most frequently used grid component. Okay, and what they given here? Okay, align this space. Given it distribute the column on the horizontal axis. Okay, I'll go here. Wait. How to column this center the column right here, like alignment. So alignment property. So grid underscore align hyphen center. Then this will get changed. This will get have the variation, right? Variation will have the hyphen. This will have a center. This will have a right left. Some sort of right variation you can have, so that you can arrange your columns accordingly. Okay, and the content evenly spaced out, right? It means to evenly distribute columns in the horizontal axis, equal amount of white space separating the column, equal amount of white space here, not about not the on the right side of your content, I mean the first and last element, how much space you should have between the grid, how much white space you should have. So that's going to be decided by align space, align space equally give the space between the grid. Okay, so the code related to this you can have here. So first you give the design, then you can have this okay. So in order to have the variation, I apply the box. Okay, see here. Now we have the space, right? Space between the grid, white space. Okay, and the content evenly spread out from the edges. Okay, so to spread out your column, that is like the first starting at the start of your main axis, the last end at the far end from the. Okay, it is basically spreaded. So here you see some space, right? You see some space. You don't see a space here. It's aligned, aligned at the edges, spread out from the edges. So like this, if you use spread. So this is a variation. Spread is a variation. Align space is a variation. Okay, so align is the element, and grid is the main element, sub element, and variation will have hyphen, isn't it? You will follow this. So variation will have elements. So if you know when you work with the grid element frequently, you know like how to give the variations, right? If you are familiar with the variations like space, spread, alignment, right? When you're working with designing some application, you know where to apply the variation. Got me? So sometimes you will also guess, okay, this is a property, this is a variation property must be applied like this. Okay, that's what I'm trying to give you. And how to column right justify? So align hyphen end, right? Align hyphen end. So rest is stay same, right? I'm just going to apply the. I mean, here we are applying the properties to the child element columns. So when you give alignment class at the top level, the content will be right justified like this. Okay, and alignment with the bump. What is this? So I don't, right, we haven't seen all the properties, but I just walk through it so that you'll be familiar later. I mean, when you're able to refer, okay. And what is this? Applying to bump a single or multiple grid items, apply the class bump direction with direction. Okay. 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 So inside for the column, so this is a property of the column, right? This is a property of the column. Bump is a property of the column. So bump left. Okay. So you have a space at the left side and the columns are arranged at the right side. Bump left. Okay. Give some space. The bump of the class, the directions, there will be left and the good system. Applying a left bump class to items. Okay. So just go through it. Come down. Okay. What is this? To align a single row or multi-lines rows to the beginning of the cross axis, apply the SLDS vertical align start. To vertically align element on a cross axis of a grid, as elements need a variable vertical white space. It's usually achieved by having height applied to the grid container. Okay. Okay, let's see this. How it's being applied. So that we'll see the actual grid, right? How it is applied. Okay. So what was the difference here? I don't see much difference. Content centered. Okay. So, okay, the contents are not centered in this example, right? The contents are not centered. It's left justified. So how to bring this content to the center? Then you see SLDS grid vertical align center. Okay. Right. When SLDS grid, okay, let me first apply this. Okay, instead of align start. Okay, center is a variation, right? Right. So this one from the start. Okay. The start says the variation, no, where the content needs to be start. And here I say the content needs to be start, centered. Center the content. And why it is? Okay, it should be centered, right? Align center. It's supposed to get like this, but is there any variation between these two? Align start and Okay. Oh, right. So this is how vertically aligned in the sense, it's a vertical grid. The grid is considered as um, height applied to the grid container. Height applied. Okay. So when you add, height or you will see the differences. So it's basically align the content at the top start. Okay. Then if you see here, it's aligned at the center. You have a white space, right? At the top and bottom. So that's what they're trying to give the property here. You don't see a difference here, but when you have a more content, then you'll see the difference. It will be it's centered, right? It will be from the top. Okay. Apart from this, we have icons. Icons you already know. We already covered in the buttons. Buttons, and we have categories like action, custom, document, and standard. So this will be used in your buttons, right, to bring the icons like this. Okay, and the other important thing here is padding. Yeah, padding will be more frequently used. CSS property, right? Okay. Yeah, most components come with the space included, but these utility classes, will help you to add the padding with respect to your requirement. Like you like to apply a more padding, no, with then you will see it will have a X. For additional padding, then XX large, like that, right? Small, large, these variations you will see. You can apply. And whether you are going to apply the padding at the left side, right, or bottom or left, again, this will have a spacing classes. Spacing classes, okay, and you have variations, large, small, every variations will have hyphen, right? And if you do not want to apply a padding, then you'll use a keyword none. None you can use. Okay, so then you like to apply these padding horizontally, vertically, that can also be applied. If you see here, SLDS top location, okay, location top none, and you like to apply, yeah, no spacing, then you'll see no spacing here, and if you apply a small spacing here, small, and double X only for the top element you are describing, only for the top element, and EX this much, sorry, this one small, and medium this much, and large this much, and X large this much. Okay, right? So like to see the demo quickly. So padding is most frequently used CSS utility class, right? So I have some content here. SLDS, what is the main property you're talking about? SLDS padding, right? So padding takes is a main class name, P and the padding, And in the padding, which property you're talking about? The top element. And I'm going to apply some spacing here. So XXX. Okay, very small padding I'm going to apply. And we'll see. That looks same, no difference. Okay, let's see which difference here. Wait. Let me take a Okay. SLDS. Oh, I think I forgot to apply. Right? SLDS hyphen P is a main element, right? I it's not applied. Okay. SLDS hyphen top. We have large. Oh, that's what I made. Okay. It's a variation. No, it's a variation. Sorry, it's not variation. It's a main element, right? Main element we supposed to include underscore. The reason we are not able to see uh, the actual result. Okay. Let's refresh. Okay. Uh, Hyphen top underscore large. Top underscore large. Okay. Supposed to get this. Okay. I'll apply extra large. Let's see. Let me take a different example. Wait. Any other queries we have? We'll go for around. Okay. Because it's a subclass, right? So you have to give space between the this and the class name. Hmm. Okay, great. Low density. Okay, right. When you apply a margin, you will see the difference because, okay, let me apply a border for this. So you will see border. Okay, okay, we have border here, and okay, then I would apply the margin as well here. I go to the margin class. So padding is the space between the content and the border, right? Apply the margin. I hope you'll see the difference. Okay, what I do now, I would say apply this color for not for this, not for this. I just apply for paragraph. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now I have the content, right? The content is bordered and everything is top large. Okay, this both looks same, right? That's what I'm saying. Small and large. Okay, so small and small padding, and this should be a large padding. And oh, okay, lot, right? I think these both are conflicting. I'm sorry. Let's see the first difference between these two. These two. I'm confused. Sorry. So here I'm just giving around and around small. Yep. SLDS box. Okay, top small and large. Here small and we have a large space around small. Okay, couldn't find much difference. Anyway, let me walk offline and underscore. I think don't think so. Underscore. I just copied and given here, right? Large and top large. Oh, here. Okay. This. I think this is a very, isn't it? Let's see. No, this is not the case. That's okay. I'll continue this tomorrow. Before exiting, you're talking about. No, this just I copied this. No, I don't think so. This makes difference. Okay. No worries. I just bring different example. I work offline. No worries. Tomorrow I will see much more detailed example with other topic. Okay. And we are going to continue with the other topic. There we apply this and see. Okay. Just the introduction. Quick insight in the LDS design system, and the next session we'll see more a defined example with other properties as well. Okay, so how to incorporate this application into lightning pages. So the next session you're going to see how to apply this padding, margin, everything as part of your record pages. If you take any account page here or any of the pages, so how to place the component inside your lightning record page, how to place the component inside your lightning record page. Okay, so how to place here, how to place in the detail, how to replace this top element, right? How can I replace this top element with my own custom component, right? So in order to do that, we don't need a application. So component is, we build the components and place this component inside any of these record pages. Record pages or home pages or application pages. There are three places you can place the component. Okay, so application we need to preview the component. application we need to preview the component. But when you place the component inside any of these, then you don't need application. Just component is enough, and place the component anywhere you want. So that's what you're going to continue. So there we apply necessary paddings. Okay, when you see your padding, I need this content needs to be placed with left padding. Then you'll see these padding classes will use. Okay, so let me work offline with the defined examples to demo, and we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, fine. Some reasons I couldn't display this. So next class we'll continue this with the effective examples. Okay, see you tomorrow then. Take care.